Hi, good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. I'm not sure who is joining us right now, but if you wouldn't mind giving StreamYard the permission, and then we can see your comments. Oh, good morning, everyone. And I hope you're well. And it's I'm all not just sure who is joining us right now, but if you wouldn't mind. Oh, sorry about that.
That's the echo, the delay on Facebook, I think.
Yeah, it was. So I can see people's comments and hopefully see who's joining us. So anybody who is new to the group and anybody who doesn't know Pauline, Pauline is a wonderful person. She's a transformational mentor. She helps people, I'm reading from my notes, she helps people stop wasting their time, playing small, procrastinating, and helps us live the life we were born to live. So I'm really looking forward to this, especially after yesterday's news. I was like, oh my gosh, this could not have been better timed, especially for me. So Pauline, without further ado, please do introduce yourself to everybody and let's get started.
Jagdeep, thank you so much. And hello, everybody. And for those of you who are watching the replay, I hope what I'm going to share with you is of value to you. My intention is to help you during these troubling times, these uncertain times. And I want to share with you a little bit of meditation, some tips and tools that you can take away. I'm going to share with you how to visualize. I'm going to be talking about the law of attraction, the law of vibration, and maybe one or two other laws that are going to be helpful to you. So as Jagdeep said, I am in the arena of transformation. I do it as a hypnotherapist and also as a mindset coach and mentor. And I just love helping people to stop wasting their time and to really know that they are more than what they see in the mirror, and to stop playing small and to move into the area of just living the life that you were born to live. And why am I doing that? Well, it's probably a bit like my own life, because I have had multiple careers. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but I started out as a guard in Dublin. And then I went to British Airways' cabin crew, and I dabbled in various little businesses and network marketing, etc. over the years. But I really wasn't terribly sure anymore what I wanted to do. So a variety of things happened, miscarriages, etc., that led me down the energy healing route. And I became a Reiki master and an angel healer and angel card reader and all of that. And then eventually I trained with Deepak Chopra as a yoga and meditation teacher. And incidentally, I too have been affected by the COVID-19 restrictions. So I'm sitting here talking to you as somebody who has had to pivot and make some changes, because in March, I had to close my yoga studio. I have a beautiful studio here at my home, and I used to teach up to 80 people per week, the 7 spiritual laws of success that I was taught by Deepak Chopra. So that saddened me enormously. In terms of a dent in income, it was a beautiful income that I was receiving for giving a beautiful practice and loving the interaction and the socialization that went alongside that. So it has affected me in that way. But because of the yoga and the meditation and being a teacher and a student of it, it allowed me to dig a bit deeper and to understand that there was more than meets the eye, that I began to uncover more potential of mine that had been lying dormant, latent, if you like. And so that has spurred me on to learn more and to upskill and up-level so that I can help people in the best possible way to realize that you're not just what you see in the mirror. You're so much more. And I'm going to elaborate on that on this masterclass today. And then fast forward, I did coaching, and I now currently work as the hypnotherapist trained with Marissa Peer, and I do rapid transformational hypnotherapy. And I'm also a consultant with Bob Proctor. Now, you might know Bob Proctor if you've watched The Secret, and if you've heard of The Secret, or you have an interest in personal development and prosperity. So I actually facilitate one of his elite programs called Thinking into Results, the 24-week mentoring program. And I am helping people, mostly entrepreneurs, some professionals that are one foot in their jobs, another foot in wanting to go into business, to really do the inner work and figure out all of what I'm going to give you the overview today as much as I possibly can, but they're doing it obviously in a much deeper way, using their higher faculties. And there's 6 major powers that we have that we tend not to use, most of us. And if we're using them, happy days. But I'm going to introduce you to them today, and you can see where you are along that pathway. So look, we can only, is that okay, Jack?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I want to get into
what I was expecting. That's fantastic, Pauline. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off screen so that everyone can see you, and they can. And if there's any questions that come up, maybe we can take a little pause, and I can ask you those questions. Would that be all right, Pauline?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm going to go let you take the screen up.
Take it away. Okay, so here we are. And we can literally only start from where we are. So there's the good news. This moment is the only true moment. It's the only real moment. This is real time right now. So honestly, yesterday's gone, and we know the story that tomorrow is a complete mystery. Okay, how we impact our future is based on the thoughts and the ideas and the habits that we have today, what we're thinking about and what we're feeling in this particular moment. So I do want you to pause. My business has been up to fairly recently just pause, but I am contemplating creating a program under that title. But just pause is something I would have said very often when I was teaching yoga or meditation, to invite people just to take stock of where they are. So I want you right now to just pause and maybe even close your eyes and place your hands in the area of your heart. I simply just want you to connect, because for most of us, we're kind of living just with our 5 senses, which really means that we're looking from the outside in, and we're allowing the circumstances, the media presence, which is very dominating at the moment, to again dominate and fill our own minds. And we're not using our higher faculties in many instances. So I'll be talking to you about that, but just take note of where you are now. Just notice how you're feeling. And I can appreciate and understand and respect that many of you are in uncomfortable territory and in uncertainty. But I was taught by Deepak Chopra when I trained with him the importance of embracing uncertainty and detaching from the outcome. And why would we do this? Well, we would do this to sustain ourselves, because, you know, there's so much talk about well-being and mindfulness and self-care and self-compassion, but really and truly, you are the epicenter of your world. You know, I mentioned that I worked for British Airways as cabin crew, and one of the things that you've been on planes, no doubt, and you've heard the instructions. If the plane goes into what we would call a decompression, when the energy drops within, the pressure drops within, oxygen mask will fall from the ceiling, and you're invited to pick the oxygen mask first and place it on your own head first, around your nose and your mouth, before you attend to anybody else, including your own children. So it's absolutely vitally important at the moment that you do pause and take stock and almost take an inventory of your own life at the moment. You know, given the circumstances, you know, maybe prior to the circumstances, maybe some of you were thinking, oh my God, you know, I wish I had more time. I would love to explore a different route. I'm not sure if I really want to do this anymore. So I want you to start looking for the gift within the situation right now, and to embrace the uncertainty, because every single day that you have lived on this planet so far has actually been uncertain. Maybe you were not consciously aware of it. Maybe you didn't think of it in those terms. But without doubt, you have been embracing uncertainty. And those that haven't have probably been leading a very stressful experience, probably full of anxiety, possibly even depression. And that actually leads, sadly, to a disintegration of our lives, because in any moment, we're either creating or we're disintegrating. And that actually is a law too. It's a law of the universe, the law of polarity, or the law of opposites. And disintegration being the end result of ignorance. And when I say ignorance, I'm talking about ignorant of the fact of who you are. So I want you to really consider, you can relax your hands and open your eyes if you haven't already done so. But what I want you to really start considering is, during this pause that has been bestowed upon you and me, nobody is unaffected. I want you to start really perhaps exploring the essence of who you are, expanding your awareness, and really tapping into your magnificence, knowing who you are at your core. So I would like to suggest this to you. You may have heard it before, maybe you haven't. But if I say to you that you're a spiritual being, you're living in a physical body and you have an intellect, how would that make you feel? You see, most of us just think we are, what we see, the body. And we look at the mirror and we just see this body reflected back to us. Whether we like what we see in the mirror or not is a whole different story. But most of us just think, this is who I am, and we may not like what we see in that mirror. But the reality is, the invisible part of you, the essence of who you are, the spirit within is perfection. Its DNA is perfection. It does not need to be modified in any way. The essence of you has been untainted by things that may have happened to you physically, emotionally, or mentally. So when you realize this begins to open up a whole different arena for you, a different scope. It allows you to have a very different perception. Now, perception is one of those 6 higher faculties that we have. I'll just mention them to you. Most of us are not using them because we didn't even know they were there. So we have perception, we have will, we have reason, we have memory, we have intuition, and we have imagination. They are your 6 superpowers. As children, we probably were aware of our memory in particular because we had to memorize things, our alphabets and our prayers and our poems, etc. And imagination as children, we thought someday when I grow up, I'm going to be the astronaut or the ballerina. Believe it or not, I wanted to be a ballerina. I loved ballet. And I did go to ballet classes, but I was no ballerina. But I had a beautiful family friend who used to come along, and Margot Fontaine was this beautiful prima ballerina, and I was in awe of her. But that wasn't my fate. That wasn't my journey. But so what happens is we kind of, the imagination gets muted, if you like, as we get older. Because if I can just give you a little bit of background about the whole idea of your mind and how it works, this will tie in. So as children, as babies, as infants, if any of you have young children, I want you to know that your subconscious mind is alive and well. However, the conscious mind hasn't quite developed. So what happens then is we have obviously our genetic programming, and we also have environmental programming. So what do I mean by that? Well, environmental programming is whereby everything that happens to us, around us, through us as children, we absorb, good, bad, and different. So this causes us to, every event that you've ever had, every experience you've ever had in your life has literally being absorbed in your subconscious mind. It's like a memory bank. Now, something important to note here, your subconscious mind has no ability to reject anything. So in other words, if you saw or heard something that was less than cheery around you as a child, especially if something had been done to you as a child, or said to you or about you as a child, and you had no option, but you did let it in. You let it in because you had no ability to deflect it or reject it because your conscious mind was not active at that point in time. So that meant that you may have formed certain beliefs about yourself where as an adult, you might feel that you're not good enough, or your confidence is low, or you don't see yourself as somebody who has anything particular or certainly special to offer the world, which right now, given the current circumstances, might cause you to think, oh my God, my world has collapsed because my business has gone to pot. How am I going to make ends meet? How am I ever going to earn a living? How am I going to pay my bills? It may have caused you to feel limited. But I have good news for you. You don't have to stay that way if that is how you're feeling. And I'm going to teach you that this morning and share that with you this morning. So the environment you grew up in allowed you to either grow up to be a confident adult or a less than confident adult. Obviously, there's lots of other things too, but I won't go into that. So then the conscious mind comes along and we begin to become a little bit more discerning. We're able to filter things that are happening around us. And, you know, as we move along, if we entertain an idea, good or bad, and we accept that idea. And again, that can be of a negative quality towards ourselves. And once we absorb it into the subconscious mind, what happens is that's where our programming is. And like the programming in any of your devices that needs updating every so often so that your apps will work better, the mind also needs updating. So when I'm inviting you to pause, I really want you, when you're doing this inventory of your life, I want you to start thinking about what is working and what's not working. What habits have you got that are not serving you? What ideas and beliefs do you hold about yourself and about society at large that are holding you back? Just think about other people for a moment, not in a competitive way, because competition means you're not creating. Don't want to just throw that one in there. If we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people in our industry, or perhaps in a different industry, something perhaps we might like to do, if we're just coming from I'm looking at them and comparing myself to them and maybe competing perhaps against somebody in the industry that you're in, that means you are not creating. Okay, so that's just a little aside there. So moving forward, your subconscious mind is either supporting you or not, depending on what has been allowed in and accepted. Every single experience you've ever had is stored there. But the conscious mind may accept an idea at the moment that actually I can now use this time to maybe go over some stuff that I've done in the past, or maybe reinvent myself. Or maybe it's the time to upscale or up level. Maybe it's time to discover what spirituality is. What does Pauline mean? What, I've heard this before, that I'm a spiritual being. What does that mean? Well, the first time I was introduced to meditation, I was 17, and it was through the Tony Quinn Yoga Centre in Eccles Street in Dublin. And at the time I was facing my leaving cert in school. My father thought it was a good idea to bring me there, but I was surrounded by mostly men, cross-legged with beards and long hair, and that wasn't my scene. So I got out of there very fast. So my first introduction wasn't a pleasant one. But eventually, through stressors in my job as a guard, I refound meditation, and that was in my early 20s. And I have to say, it has really been a practice, especially in the last 12 years, of a daily nature that has really helped support me, to help me move along and look at things differently. So I want you to consider now, as I mentioned, somebody else perhaps who is in the same industry as you. Could be, just think about this for a second. Imagine there was a whole neighborhood of people who did the same thing. Some will succeed and some won't. Now, imagine they have access to the same skills, the same types of clients, but some will thrive and others won't. Why is that? It is because of the programming. It's because of the conditioning, or what we call paradigm. The paradigm is a multitude of ideas and habits that we hold at the subconscious level that dictate our results because it causes us to act in a particular way. They're called habits. Habits of thinking, habits of feeling, habits of action. So it would boil down, those that are thriving have a different attitude. So currently, there are people who are thriving. There are people, and the proof is there in previous recessions and downturns in an economic society, and in the past with the Great Depressions and all these various things. There have always been people who've been thriving, always people who have been able to find something different. And this is really important to note, that we differ from the animal kingdom by virtue of the fact that we have an intellect. And we're the only creatures that are really uncomfortable in our environments. We're not really at ease in our environments. The animals just get on with it. They have their instinct and they just get on with it. But that's not a bad thing that we're uncomfortable, because right now, lots of people are uncomfortable. Lots of people don't know what to do next. They are uncertain. They are anxious. They are depressed. They're terrified. They're paralyzed because they don't know that they can create their own environment. There are people, very successful people. There's a quote I heard once upon a time: if I can't find the circumstances, I will create them. You have the power to create your circumstances using your 6 higher faculties, your 6 powers, your superpowers. If you use your perception now, if you see this as a big problem, it's going to be a problem. But you know, if you consider for a moment right now, okay, lack of business, lack of money, lack of education, perhaps to pivot. Maybe you think, I don't have any of the skills. I don't know how to do anything else. You don't have an education issue. You do not have a financial issue. You have a perception issue of you, a perception issue of who you think you are. Let me remind you who you are. You're a spiritual being living in a physical body, and you have an intellect. You have 6 higher faculties that allow you to live and create the life you want from the inside out, rather than allowing just your 5 senses to live from the outside in. So obviously, it's really important that you're not bombarding yourself with hourly updates on the news. That is not helpful. That is programming you. I mean, we've always been programmed by our environment. Advertising does it to us. Conversations with people who we hang out with, the closest 5 people we hang out with are usually a reflection of who we are, because we're being hypnotized by what we're exposing ourselves to. So I want you to start really stepping back and looking at some of the habits that you have, and in particular, look at some of the limitations that you have. Because truly you have a choice right now to participate in this hysteria, if you like, or you have the opportunity to choose to really use this time and see the gift within this for you. You see, if you could accept the first spiritual law in the 7 spiritual laws of success written by Deepak Chopra is this, the law of pure potentiality. That is reminding you and I that we have infinite potential. And you do have infinite potential. Perhaps you haven't tapped into it. And maybe it is your paradigm or your mental programming and your belief system that is holding you back from exploring that. But I want to invite you to look at yourself differently. Open yourself up completely to what you're capable of doing, that you have gifts and talents that you haven't even looked at or been exposed to, or as Rumi the poet said, you've gifts from your birth that you haven't even opened yet. Imagine if you could unwrap some of those gifts, because you have them. And I want to impart to you that you are more than enough, and that you're more than capable of making changes in your life right now. You know, you really do have a choice, and I want you to become really responsible about your mental health. You have to become responsible about your mental health right now. And consider your attitude. I mentioned the people that are thriving currently. Yes, they may be in businesses that are considered to be essential services, but there are people that are pivoting. I mentioned I had to close my yoga business. And by the way, 3.5 years ago, I was living in Australia. We moved out there in 2015. And I do know what I'm talking about here in terms of having to pivot, because I went to Australia and I was teaching yoga and meditation, and I was a coach, and I thought I just fit into the Gold Coast lifestyle very nicely because there's an abundance of this. It wasn't the case. I won't bore you with the details, but it was an extremely challenging time for myself, particularly. I'd never experienced rejection like I did there. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not criticizing anybody, but I am blessed, and I was blessed to have had an awareness because of what I had learned from Deepak Chopra and from my own inner work, the meditations, the tapping within, recognizing that there was infinite potential, and seeing the gift in the things not going well. And we can joke now that it was the most expensive holiday of our lives. We were there for less than 2 years. And it was a really difficult financial experience. We came back completely broke in credit card debt. And we had to start again. And we were blessed to have our home, which we'd rented. And I had to borrow off one of my brothers to train with Marissa Peer in London to do the hypnotherapy. But here's the thing. When I was walking that beach on the Gold Coast and feeling really forlorn and confused and sad and frightened, I was exploring like anybody would. And I was listening to various teachers and reading books and filling myself up with what I felt would help me to move forward. And I came across Marissa Peer, and I was blessed to work with her and train with her, but I couldn't afford it when I came back. And we were very comfortable before we went to Australia. We didn't really need to go. We sold a business. We were in a very comfortable position. We went out there with a substantial amount of money, which ended up subsidizing a high living that we had. We were on the beach with a beautiful accommodation. My son was in private school. But the irony was we were getting poor in paradise. There's no two ways about it. We would have absolutely had to change where we lived, and that wasn't an option. So the gift, we were able to see the gift in what happened and take the best from it, extract the best from it, filter the best from that experience. And I honestly can tell you, 3.5 years later, with much inner digging, I mean, we are thriving. We are thriving because we made it so. We had the attitude that we can make this work. If somebody else can come out of circumstances such as ours, we can too. So we really had a we can attitude, we can do this attitude, resilience, bouncing back. And of course, we had to pay our friends back and all of that. That goes without saying. But we worked our buns off. But it made us both realize, you know, well, what can we do? And so now I'm in the business of empowering people to step into their absolute brilliance and bring it forward. And I realized that what I wanted to do is exactly what I'm doing now, which is sharing and imparting and teaching and lifting people up and raising people up and elevating people to be the best that they can be, but more importantly, to be who they were born to be and not waste any more time. I was 56 on the 10th of October. I share my age openly because I've no issue with that. Because I don't feel my age, because I make it so. My attitude is to stay young, feel young, be young, and do everything that is necessary because I keep my mind very young. I mean, I train with Bob Proctor. Today, I'm in his masterclass. I'm training for 6 months with him in his masterclass. It's his first ever masterclass, and I'm one of 130 students in the group. I have one-on-one time with him as a result of that. Did I think that was possible a couple of years ago? No. But I've made it happen. And like Bob is 86. He's 30 years older than me. And the reason why he's so youthful, and he admits to being so youthful, is that he hangs out with people that are much younger than him. It keeps him young and vibrant and alive and on point. And obviously, I have a 14-year-old son, so I was late having my son. That's a whole other story about manifestation. I'm coming to it. I promise you I'm coming to it. So you now know you have higher faculties. And there's no doubt about it, I tuned into those big time when I was in Australia. You see, your energy, you're a massive energy. Everything is energy. Look around you, everything is energy. It's just all fluctuating at different speeds. But you absolutely are energy. And so every thought you think is energy, and it carries a particular frequency. So when relationships are not going well, the two people are no longer on the same frequency. They're no longer on the same vibration. They're no longer on the same energy level. All different words for the same thing. They're no longer aligned, congruent, in harmony with one another. And sadly for them, unless they explore, they're going to go separate ways. It doesn't always have to be that way. If they wake up and become more aware, they can figure it out and they can very much come back together again. And I'm very much a proponent of teaching that. So everything is frequency. Let me talk about the laws, because I know you want to hear about the laws. The law of attraction. Everybody knows about the law of attraction. Some people poo-poo it. Some people say, I tried it, it doesn't work. Okay, a lot of things have been misconstrued. So remember your energy. So vibration, I mentioned the word. The primary law in manifestation is the law of vibration. If you think you can, if you think you can't, you're right. That's what Henry Ford said. If you think you can, your energy is going to be elevated. So say, for example, what you want is up here. And here you are. So what you want, imagine there's an X up here on the screen. This is what you want. But down here, you're in an energy of, I haven't got enough education. I've no money. I tried it once, it didn't work. What will people think of me? I'll be judged, criticized. It won't work. Let me tell you, the twain will never meet because you are down here and what you want is up here. How does it work differently? How does it actually work? So down here, we have to really look at how we're thinking. We have to think about how we're acting, how we're feeling. Okay. What stops a lot of people from going after what they want is that they need to know the how. When I know how to do it, I will do it. I'm here to tell you the how is none of your business. That's God's business, the Creator's business, the universe's business. All you have to have is the desire for something, okay? Then another D word, you must decide that you want it and that you're prepared to do anything to do it. So what are you going to do? You are going to pay attention to how you feel. All you need to know is, how am I feeling right now? Am I feeling that it's possible, that I can have what I want? Am I feeling and believing that the right resources are going to come to me because I've made this decision that this is what I want and I am determined to get in harmony with this? And then what happens? Now you're on the same frequency. It's like the radio station. Somebody says you need to listen to Today FM, but you're on 2FM. You're not going to hear that interview. You're not going to hear the music. So to get in harmony with what you want, you need to have your feelings in check. So I feel powerful. I feel positive. I feel this is possible for me. I feel energized. I feel enthusiastic about my life. I have a vision of what I want. I am going in that direction. You see, your mind thinks in pictures. If I was to ask you, what are the colors of your wardrobe? What's the interior of your car like? Is it leather? Is it fabric? What does it look like? I mean, have you got a gear stick? Have you got an automatic car? What will happen is your mind is going to go to the car, the wardrobe, the bedroom, etc. If I was to ask you about your kitchen fittings, you're going to go there because your mind thinks in pictures. So to focus on what you want, you must visualize what you want. You have to see it in your mind first before you can hold it in your hand. So seeing it, believing it's possible, you can really conceive that and you can achieve it. And when you're prepared to change the way you're looking at things in your life right now, the things you begin to look at will change. So if you see this pandemic pause in your business as an opportunity, as a gift, if you're willing to look at it differently, if you're willing to use the time to really expand your awareness of who you are, to explore and to expand on your gifts and your talents, and to create a visualization in your mind that you tap into on a daily basis, I promise you, your life is going to change. You're going to think very differently, and the results you will get are going to be incredibly different. So Jagdeep, I'm just curious, I mean, time-wise, how are we doing?
Oh, sorry, I lost you there, Pauline. We're okay. We're at half an hour, so we're okay. I'm really enjoying this so far. It's fabulous. I'm, taking loads of notes, and I'm just wondering, has anybody actually got any questions while we have Pauline here? Please do ask them. I can see your questions coming up, and as you can see, I've been taking little notes. But Pauline, I would like to ask you one question, and this is partly to do with my own journey when I started many moons ago. Visualization. I think a lot of people find visualization pretty difficult to do, especially when, we're in a situation here in the weddings and events industry where once it was abundant, there was enough business for anyone really who wanted the business, as long as they put themselves forward and offered a really good service, they would be guaranteed to basically be a success. However, this year we have had a situation where we're looking at a lot of businesses probably not making it through to next year or the following year. And I know that this can create blocks in the mindset and in your mind. And even when it comes to doing everything that you've just said, there's this huge block. What would you suggest would be a good technique for us to use?
I hear everything you're saying. Well, I just want to emphasize a point here that we are all creative, okay? We're creative beings. And it's almost like, a joke to think that we're born and raised to go to work. We're born to create. And so I want you just to pause for a second and consider what you already have created in your lives, okay? What you've already created up to this point. So you haven't run out of creative juice. You just haven't focused on it, because really, essentially what people have done is they have created a belief or a limitation around, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. even if it's not what you want to do. Would you agree?
I would, yes.
So I've already told you that we think in pictures.
Yeah.
And visualization, people think it's difficult, but we're already thinking in pictures. So you're doing it anyway. If you see a picture, that's a visualization. And conversely, when it comes to describing maybe anxiety, if you like, people can say, my anxiety causes me to feel this way, but they see themselves contracted. They will even demonstrate it in their body. I mean, they'll see it and then describe that very easily. So it's just a question of focusing on what you want. And if it helps to, look online and get photographs from a magazine or pictures or a little movie or something that you can create, because I mean, we're all creative. I mean, I failed art in school and thought I wasn't creative until I learned that we're all creative. So I've realized that you can be creative in many, many different ways. It's not just artists or musicians or poets, etc. That we're all creative. We can tell a story creatively, for example. We can decorate our homes creatively. We can dress ourselves creatively. So we're incredibly creative, how we cook, etc. So you are creative. Everyone is creative. I think we have to own that. So can you see the importance here? My main job today is to make you see that you're more than what you see in the mirror. That you've untapped potential, and you've also got latent potential. That means that you have potential that maybe you used before that you now can go back to and pull that out of the box, because it doesn't expire. Your gifts and your talents, there's no expiry date on them.
Right.
And what's interesting too, if I can add, like I could have been retired from 2 previous careers, the Guards and the airline. But for some reason, when I was in early days in the Guards, and I'd hear all the older guys, and particularly the guys, it was mostly guys, I can't wait to retire, I'm dying to retire. And I used to think I was enthusiastic, I was of the era of Hill Street Blues and Cagney and Lacey and Dempsey and Makepeace. And I just wanted to go out and, fight crime and make the world a better place. And I couldn't bear to hear all this conversation and doom and gloom to me at the time. But I remember thinking, I never want to retire. I just love working. Now, the problem was I actually didn't stay very long in the Guards, 8 years. That's a whole big story that will be revealed in my book. And my book is underway, thank God. And I'm working with an editor and it's all going great. Excellent. But, the thing is, I don't want to deviate, but the thing is to know you're creative and to really ask the questions, what do I want? What do I want? That's the only question, apart from who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I? That beautiful question to allow you to enter into the space of the essence of who you are. But what do I want? Desire is the voice.
I think if I can interrupt you there, I think right now I certainly feel this, although I have the I suppose the advantage of going down the route that you have. But, there are days like today, we're now facing in the wedding industry so much doom and gloom that it's hard to actually to figure out exactly what you want. So would you suggest maybe sitting down and doing a pro and cons list, or maybe just going out into the woods and sitting with nature for a little while? Or, what would you suggest that we can do as an industry, if you will, as people in this group, or anybody who's going to watch this on replay, just, how to step out of this place of panic, because and anxiety, as you say, panic and anxiety. How do we step into that place? Because that can be a difficult transition to get yourself out of that mindset into another mindset.
Well, you see, you just said it there. It's about changing your state. So anxiety is contraction and well-being is expansion. Okay. So you're moving from a place of anxiety to well-being. How do we do that? Well, one of the quickest ways is through your breath.
Okay.
Breathing. We all need to breathe more correctly. It has been said if we were all taught to breathe correctly, there would be less of a pathway to the doctor's surgery. It would cure many an illness, I can assure you. See, when we're anxious, we're not breathing correctly. So let me just show you how to breathe correctly, because I'm a yoga teacher. So hand on the heart, hand in the area of the navel. And when you close your eyes, I want you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, okay? And I'll demonstrate it. So you're inhaling. When you inhale, your belly needs to expand like a balloon. And when you exhale, I want you to create the ha sound, as if you're fogging up a mirror or your glasses to clean them. So breathe in again, expand. Belly inflates like a balloon. Your chest will rise. As you exhale, draw the navel right back towards your spine. Empty out the belly, make space for your next in-breath. So again, you breathe in, out through the mouth. I want you just to notice, keep going. I'll speak a little here. So as you breathe in, you're breathing in the newness of this moment. As you breathe out, you're releasing stress, tension, worry, anxiety, concerns. Again, breathe in. Opportunity. Exhale, old, outdated, expired ideas. And when you're aware that you're breathing, then you're in the present moment. And this is the only real moment. I began the talk today about this. We're in the real moment now. Your future is influenced by choices you make now. So keep your eyes closed for a second. And I want you just to bring your awareness to your heart. You can keep your lower hand at the navel area, that's fine. But just connect with your heartbeat right now. See if you can hear it. So one of the tools that Deepak Chopra taught us was to ask our heart for guidance. You see, your power is inside. You're not going running around asking all your friends and family. They may mean well, but they really can't advise you. And you must remember, they're coming from their perception, perspective, opinion of circumstances. So it's so important that you take responsibility for your life and your choices. And it's an inside job, because then we can't blame anybody else. But equally, you wouldn't ask somebody for financial advice if they were broke. So not everybody can help you right now. And there's many people that you know that are in a similar position to yourself. So this is something you have to do for you. It's coming back to yourself, connecting with your power. So the question to ask is about say, for example, you're considering doing something different. You could ask the question, is this the right choice for me now? Is this the right thing for me to do right now? And then you pause and you wait for a response from your body, a reaction. I often say it'll be yum or yuck. It's a feeling you're looking for. A lot of people get this in the solar plexus. Many get it in the area of the heart. So it'll feel, okay, so for me, I had to ask a question in March. Do I want to continue doing video yoga, virtual yoga? And hard as it was, I decided I didn't want to do it. And it was the most nourishing choice for me at the time. Now, I may change and start introducing a little bit of yoga because I miss it terribly from teaching it. But at the time, it was the right decision. And I felt it inside. It felt, like I got the green light as opposed to the red light. So you have that available to you. It's your inner guidance system. It's like your inner GPS. It's going to guide you to the next natural choice for you. So you can relax your hands and just open your eyes. But meditation, of course, then, apart from your breathing. So you're breathing. Don't underestimate the power of your breath. People take a big gasp of air. I mean, we refer to our breath all the time. We might remark on something as being breathtaking. We might need to say, I've got to catch my breath because I got a shock. So we're always referring to the breath. I'm breathless because of the love I have in my life or something. But, we're always referring to our breathing. So you need to learn how to breathe correctly. And it will really serve you very, very well. Go out in nature, breathe in the great outdoors, be close to nature. Do whatever you can to get out close to nature because it's alive and it's an extension of our body. It's the universal body. This is why we feel so good. You often hear people say that, and it's free. And we go out and it's free and it makes us feel really elevated. Why? Because nature is at ease. It's not struggling against. It's just doing its thing. It's going with the tide. It's going with the flow. It's going with the change in seasons. We tend to struggle as the human in that regard. So meditation is powerful. And of course, there's any amount of them out there, from guided to mantra. And I've been teaching mantra-based, and I use a mantra-based predominantly, but I also use guided meditations just to help. So it's important too that you are really curtailing your intake of the news at the moment. It is important that you read inspirational stuff, you watch inspirational stuff, and you are responsible for what you're allowing in. Remember now, you have a conscious mind as an adult and a subconscious mind. So if you accept an idea that the world is over, my life is over, that goes into your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is your feeling mind, your emotional mind. It's in every atom of your body, every molecule in your body, which is why if I feel and believe in here that I'm useless, well, my body's going to show up that way. I'm going to be fairly rounded, shouldered, head down, not breathing properly. Whereas if I feel and take on the perception, actually, this is an opportunity now to start that course that I parked last year and go get those modules done, and now is the time. Everything's online. There's opportunities. How can I teach online? How can I use the internet? I remember when we were in Australia, one of the things that they said to my son, it was a Lutheran school he went to, because our friends' kids went there, and it was a private school. It was a very different education system. And I remember at the interview, they saying to him, we educate our children here for the jobs that are not even created yet. And I mean, take that on board. A lot of industry is not going to be here in 5 years' time. Look at the industries that have been created in the last 10 years. So I want you to remember, every idea has anything we have. For example, the iPhone, I pick it up. I use this always as an analogy. This was created twice. First, as an idea in Steve Jobs' mind, and then it had to happen so that we could hold it. So most ideas are still born, though. It's important that I say this. You have a choice. You've got to act fast. Successful people act fast. They make decisions fast. They rarely change their mind. They're prepared to do whatever it takes. They're prepared to do whatever it takes, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the unpleasant things. We only fail when we stop and quit.
True. Pauline, Aisling has a question. Ailish, has a question for you. I just want to ask you while it's still there. She says, "Is it natural to want to yawn after breathing so deep? She can't stop. She can't stop yawning."
Yeah, well, actually, to be fair, that is a real indication of the tension that she may be holding in the body. And so when we start to breathe, we're opening up the airways, and we're actually bringing our conscious awareness to our body. And everything is symptomatic, so psychosymptomatic. I mean, we're feeling, as I mentioned earlier on, the subconscious mind is in every cell of our body. It's our spiritual mind, emotional mind. So by yawning, it's an indication that there's tension, that there's some degree of anxiety, but it may also be an indication that you need to rest. But it's a good sign. I see it as a very good sign. It's releasing the stress. So it's a positive thing.
Absolutely. I'm conscious of the time now, Pauline, because we're only 50 minutes.
And there's a load more things that I want to share with people. But look, visualization. If I can just share with you, Monday to Friday, I actually have a group. There are people that are working with me, and I'm mentoring. And we call it the Success Call. It's 6:30 a.m. It's for 40 minutes. And, we're really focusing on gratitude, because gratitude is massive. Being grateful really boosts your mood and immunity. And I remember when we got back from Australia, being so grateful for everything that maybe I didn't appreciate before. We do take a lot of things for granted. We might not know that until we bring our awareness to it, or we lose something and then we say, oh my goodness, that was actually really good. So I think there's a great opportunity for growth here for people. So we focus on gratitude, and we focus also on our goals and writing out things that will help us get closer to the goal. And big part of our morning ritual is visualization, seeing yourself the way you want to be. Really seeing it in your mind's eye the way you want to be. You can write this out. This is what I want to share with you today. If you write out a script, the script is short for a description of your life the way you want it to be. You write it in the present tense, and you can record it. I mean, I have mine recorded on voice memo on my phone, and I listen to it, and I change it every so often. And so I would make sure that when I'm recording it, that my voice is animated, not monotone. You want it to be elevated. You want it to inspire you. This is the life that you can create. I did this to have my son. I was an unconscious competent, especially when it came to having a child. I was told I couldn't have kids. Many of you know the story, but my son was manifested. I deliberately created him with my husband, of course. But, you know, I went against all the odds, big story around that. But I visualized this child before I even got pregnant. I saw how he looked. I saw his character. You'd swear I ordered him out of a catalogue. He is identical to the child that I expected. Now, and I really do mean that. I mean, it's absolutely the truth. So we can do that with anything. I did it growing up with changing careers. I mean, I've done loads of different things. You can too. I know you may have spent years and dollars, and I've spent years and dollars doing things. But let me tell you, there's no expiry date on your gifts and talents. You're a creative genius. You have higher faculties, higher powers. You have tools. Breathe, meditate, walk in nature. Costs nothing. And write it out and record it.
Yes.
And if you want my help, I would love you to reach out, because I love helping people, and I am helping people. And really, my work is to help people know their power. Stop wasting time. Just go for what you want in your deepest heart. Maybe somebody said you couldn't do it. Maybe somebody ridiculed you. Enough already. That is not appropriate any longer. Reframe that. Distance yourself from that nonsense and do what you want. Because you see, you wouldn't think about doing something if it wasn't already available for you to do. Do you know what I'm saying? What you want wants you. That was the talk I did at Win last year in the Women's Inspire. What you want wants you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I leave you with an amazing quote, by the way, from Jim Carrey? I'm sure there's all Jim Carrey fans. He makes us laugh. And laughter, of course, is amazing. Dance, singing.
Absolutely. I
mean, I have an Alexa in the kitchen, and it's fantastic. I mean, she's reading our minds. We know that too. That's the whole thing about conspiracy. But reality is, I just say, play the ABBA or play the Bee Gees or play ELO. That's the stuff that I love, gets me going. But Jim Carrey said, you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
Yes. Absolutely, 100%. Pauline, thank you so much.
I'm sorry for going on so long, but you know, I didn't
worry. I've enjoyed every minute, and I tell you what, you know, if it would allow us, I'd carry on until you had run out of things to say. But
thank you for having me, Jagdeep.
You're welcome. Paula has left a comment. She said, the best hour I've spent in ages. Thank you, Pauline.
I can't see any of the comments actually, because it's not coming up in the StreamYard chat there, so I don't have Facebook on. I didn't realize anybody was there. I would have been a bit more interactive. I thought perhaps people would watch later. Paula,
I can see them all coming up. So, and Kathy has left another comment here saying, perfectly timed talk, so uplifting. Thanks to us.
Look at guys, if you want to sign up to the newsletter, I'm really focusing on, you know, blogging now, and I'm focusing on, you know, giving tips through email, less on social media, some on social media. But, you know, if you feel there's also a call that I'm willing to do with you to help you, you know, with strategy. And by the way, one last thing, there's always another last thing with me. Really hear this. 95%, your success is based on 95% of your mindset and only 5% strategy. So your mindset is your attitude, guys, how you think, how you feel, how you act, how you speak, how you show up, you know? And I promise you, when you start to tap into this power, you will blow yourself away. Seriously, you have so much potential. I mean, I used to think all my multiple careers was a flaw in my character. I thought I hadn't got the stickability factor. Not true. Steve Jobs, here's another quote. Sorry, I'm full of quotes. But Steve Jobs said, you can only join the dots looking back. You can't join them looking forward. So here you are today. Look back. Everything has happened for you. Everything has happened for a reason. Those dots have cost money. But let me tell you something, nothing is wasted. I want you to use what you've done and your abilities and your talents and your gifts and your skills and create what you want now. Create what you want. And if you need my help, I am here. I promise.
And Pauline is fantastic, as you can all see.
Guys, lots of love to you all. And thank you so much for joining. I appreciate your time and your patience. Jagdeep, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Take very good care of yourself, Pauline, and I'm sure everyone in the group and everyone who's going to watch this on replay is going to really appreciate it. So guys, thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, bye.
Take care. Lots of love.